Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipak Shikurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 8th of March. India to get its first women fighter pilot in June this year. Saudi Arabia Foreign Minister visits India to strengthen ties. And Bangladesh's Supreme Court upholds death penalty of Jamaat leader for war crimes. And now for all the details, celebrating the achievements of women throughout history and taking a resolve to empower them more, India marked the International Women's Day on Tuesday.
As the world celebrates International Women's Day, the Indian Air Force took a radical move towards gender parity, with Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha announcing that the IAF will see its first batch of women fighter pilots graduate on June 18. He was addressing women personnel from the three services at a seminar in New Delhi in the presence of Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar.
I think on 18th of June this year, Indian Air Force is the first women fighter pilot graduated.
The announcement came after the government took the first steps in October 2015 towards bringing women into fighting roles and approved plans by the Indian Air Force for women pilots to fly warplanes from June 2017 on a 3-year experimental basis.
As of now, 3 women trainees have volunteered to join the fighter stream. They are under training, the second phase of their training. Once they complete the training, they are doing reasonably well, at par with their male colleagues. And the passing out parade is scheduled on 18th of June. So we feel that all 3 should be able to get commission on that day.
While International Women's Day has been celebrated across the world to mark the achievements of women for more than a century, it is now looking ahead to the world's gender equality goals. National carrier Air India celebrated womanhood in a unique way. On the eve of Women's Day, Air India flew the world's longest all-women operated flight from Delhi to San Francisco as part of celebrations.
Moving on, Saudi Foreign Minister Adel bin Ahmed Al Zubair is in India to boost bilateral relations between both the countries. Indians form the largest expatriate community in Saudi Arabia who have contributed to its progress and development.
Saudi Foreign Minister Adel bin Ahmed Al Zubair called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his first bilateral visit in India on Tuesday. Both the leaders discussed extensively on key areas of mutual interest. The two nations share friendly relations based on close people-to-people contacts, with over 2.96 million Indian nationals presently working in Saudi Arabia. Bilateral trade between the two countries reached $40 billion in 2014-15, which made Saudi Arabia India's 4th largest partner. The strategic partnership that the two countries established in 2010 envisions a deeper engagement in political, economic, security and defense areas through the Riyadh Declaration. Zubair's visit comes ahead of Indian Prime Minister's much-anticipated Saudi Arabia visit early next month.
Settling Kashmir issue should not be a precondition for holding talks between India and Pakistan, British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond said as he arrived in Islamabad on a day-long visit. The top official also urged the two countries not to allow non-state actors and other pressure groups to derail the peace process. India had last week stated that action against terror by Pakistan will take priority over talks with it in the aftermath of a strike on an Indian airbase in January by militants from Pakistan. The strike had prompted the postponement of the Foreign Secretary-level talks. Hammond also asked Pakistan to speed up the investigation into the attack. Moving on, Taliban will sit for negotiations with the Afghan government despite laying harsh conditions, believe experts on Afghan affairs. A report.
Despite the obstacle caused by preconditions set by Taliban, experts remain positive about peace talks between the Afghan government and the insurgent group. The Taliban on Saturday denied participation in the talks, demanding fulfillment of its preconditions first, that includes withdrawal of foreign troops from the country. However, experts feel the insurgent group will sooner or later come for talks.
My expectation is that talks will take place, that there are still contacts going on, and the Taliban are just, I think, involved in a sort of public posturing. They don't want to be seen as having compromised their position. So sooner or later, we understand there will be some talks.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has earlier said his government believes in peace process and will negotiate with those who support it, but warned of taking tough measures against those who choose violence over peaceful negotiation.
The United Kingdom has announced that it would provide $1.4 million for preparation of peace talks between Afghan government and Taliban insurgents. This comes even after the militant group rejected to join the proposed negotiations. The UK also said the aid will include political backing as well as advisors to help develop outreach programs. Representatives from Afghanistan, Pakistan, China and United States have been working together to draw a roadmap for resumption of the peace talks. But Taliban said that it will continue to fight until all foreign troops withdraw, among other preconditions.
The Afghan people deserve peace after decades of conflict and instability, and without peace, Afghanistan cannot realise its economic potential. The United Kingdom strongly supports the efforts of the Afghan government and the Quadrilateral Contact Group to start direct peace talks.
Staying on news from Afghanistan, Afghan Chief Executive Officer Abdullah Abdullah has expressed deep concerns over violence faced by women in the country. Even though Taliban regime in the country ended in 2001, women in Afghanistan continue to live in patriarchal society in suppression and restrictions.
Afghan government is committed to improve lives of people in the country, especially women, said Afghan Chief Executive Officer Abdullah Abdullah. While speaking at a conference for women's empowerment under the title of Women's Prestige in Islam, Abdullah urged religious scholars of the country to bring awareness among people and preach against domestic and sexual violence on women. The United Nations estimates that over 87% of Afghan women have experienced physical, sexual or psychological violence. Most of the women living in Afghanistan are confined by strict patriarchal controls. Some are in communities that condone horrific gender-based violence. The condition of women had deteriorated the most during the Taliban regime, when they were restricted from venturing out in educational and professional sectors.
Meanwhile, Bangladesh's Supreme Court upheld the death penalty awarded to Jamaat-e-Islami leader Mir Qasim Ali for his involvement in war crimes during the country's liberation war in 1971. He had earlier challenged the verdict of the International Crimes Tribunal, which had awarded death sentence to him for the killing of 8 freedom fighters during the war. Mir Ali was considered to be an important functionary of Al-Badr, a militia formed to help the Pakistan Army during the war. Earlier, Jamaat-e-Islami leader Mutiur Rahman Nizami was sent to gallows in January for his crimes against humanity committed during the country's 1971 War of Liberation. As the qualifiers for the World T20 Cup 2016 begins on Tuesday in India, cricket fans across the country are hoping Indian team will continue its rich vein of form in the format's pinnacle event. The World Cup is the international championship of the 2020 format of cricket organized by the sport's governing body, the International Cricket Council. 12 countries, including Australia, India, South Africa and England, will be up against each other to grab the champion title.
Fresh air coming in, and T20 in India is a good thing, and we wait and we want India to be the winners this time, and we all are there cheering them. We all be there cheering the Indian team and bleeding blue.
The team is quite balanced, and what we have seen right throughout from the Australian tour till the Asia Cup and against the Sri Lanka, that India has got a set units of 11 people playing at this point of time, which is a big plus point for them to gel as a unit, wherein the other teams are struggling, to form their team at this point of time.
इंडिया की बैटिंग अच्छी है, बॉलिंग अच्छी है, फील्डिंग अच्छी है, तो जाहिर सी बात है वही जीतेगी.
Bollywood extravaganza and Indian culture took people by storm in Jordan as colourful array of music, dance and lights amalgamated into a dazzling evening. The show, called Taj Express, is organised by Friends of Jordan Festivals, a non-profit organisation dedicated to promoting the cultural, visual and performing arts.
رغم تعدد الثقافات اللي موجودة بالمجتمع الهندي بشكل عام، بس بتحسي في اندماج بالموسيقى. الموسيقى عندهم والرقص يعني بيلحم كتلة المجتمع بوحدة واحدة، وبتحسيهم كلهم متناغمين بنفس الأداء، نفس الروح، نفس الحياة. رائعين صراحة.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India to get its first women fighter pilots in June this year. Saudi Arabia Foreign Minister visits India to strengthen ties. And Bangladesh's Supreme Court upholds death penalty of Jamaat leader for war crimes. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.